articles that I thought were interesting. This one is a race condition between a couple of modes inside the Linux kernel. And what's interesting, the guy says the reason he was able to find this is because the M1 chip is so fast that with Linux running on it, he was able to then think of a way to create something quick enough to find a real race condition in the kernel. So that's cute. The write-up here is very terse and dense, but anyway, that's the point of it, which is the kind of thing that's going to happen. As the hardware moves forward, attacks that used to be impractical become possible. And here's another one that's happened many times before. Antivirus and endpoint data response, or whatever EDR is, endpoint detection and response, something like that, can act as data wipers. This has been happening for a long time because your antivirus has some way of deleting files if it decides they're malicious. And there have been a series of ways people are able to trick it into doing something other than deleting a file. And so this one here, what he did, or she, I don't know who found this, was find a, they're going to have, it's going to delete something. And so he created a folder called ctemp, Windows System 32 drivers, and stored Mimikatz in there. And Mimikatz is going to be detected as a malicious program. And then it's going to try and delete it. And the point that he's going to do is to delete the ctemp folder and create a Windows junction, which is like a hard link from ctemp to cwindows, so that it will, if he can do it at the right time, this is another effectively time check, time of use problem, then the system will detect it as malicious and queue it for deletion. And then there'll be a gap of time before it actually does deletion. And in that time, he can redirect the meaning of that path so it will delete the wrong file. Now, the EDR systems now won't let you do this because after they mark a file malicious, they then somehow mark that file as in use and won't let anything about that file change before they delete it, which is certainly a good thing to do. But the problem is, if he creates the file and holds a handle by keeping it open so that it's already busy and the EDR solution cannot delete it, then what it does is it pops up a statement saying, we have to delete something, we can't until after the next reboot. And of course, that's by the way it handles a file that's locked. But the problem is, of course, on the reboot, then it will lose the memory of where that file was. And now by creating a junction and rebooting, it will then delete that file. So you can now delete files through the EDR. So that's cute. And there might be a way to turn that into remote code execution too. But I think all he did here was figure out how to delete things, which you shouldn't have the privilege of deleting. So that's another flaw caused by the antivirus. There have been quite a few of these. Where for a while, some people are saying don't use antivirus, and I think everyone decided that's a really bad idea. You should use antivirus because it stops a lot of known threats, but it does have some consequences which are not good. And let's see if I can get to, all right. The anti-gay laws are really drastic in Florida. I mean, they're pretty bad in Florida, but even worse in Russia. This is a big part of the Putin agenda. A lot of his rhetoric against the United States and other Western countries is hating us for having gay people. So they're talking about how people there are fleeing and very concerned. There's a new legislative package. There's an existing law on LGBTQ propaganda, which is just a more extreme version of what has been done in Florida, just making it illegal to have gay people around, illegal for anybody to find out about gay people or talk about gay people. And, you know, that's, we'll see what comes of it all. It's probably going to be worse in Russia than in Florida, for a while anyway. And so Amazon barcodes, as we all know, you check them out, use them to check out at the grocery. And it's a drag because you have to return the thing over and over hunting for the barcode. And when you do, it's often wrinkled and unreadable. And Amazon has about had it with this. It turns out they're robots. They're trying to replace their fulfillment center workers with robots. But the robots can't find the barcode. So what they're planning to do is just forget it. You don't need a barcode if you have computer vision. They're just going to use machine learning to learn what the product looks like in all of its various orientations. And that's probably better than having a barcode anyways, to just actually recognize the product. So that's interesting. So Yoel Roth was the most respected, what if anybody get rid of this? Apparently not. Anyway, Oh, I blocked some kind of garbage is blocking me from getting to the page. See if I turn off the ad blocker, if it gets better or worse. All right. Yoel Roth was the most respected person on the Twitter content moderation team that actually stayed for a few days after Musk fired everybody else. And then he gave an interview with Kara Swisher and said what he thought. He thought he was really very tactful about explaining what he didn't do with Musk, but he apparently irritated Musk. So Musk has responded in true alt-right fashion. Yoel Roth has a degree in content moderation, essentially. And he wrote a thesis in content moderation. And what he discussed in his thesis is gay dating apps and how there are underage people on gay dating apps. And he discussed how they got there and what you should do about it. And he said, you know, you can't really keep the underage people off these websites. And what you probably should do is have layers of protection, assuming some of them have gotten on there to try to protect them from the worst abuse. So anyway, Elon Musk has quoted a sentence or two from that to make it sound like he's saying that it's great that gay people have underage people having sex with them, which is not what he was saying, but they managed to make it sound like that. And so now he's getting death threats, of course, because when Elon Musk says this, he triggers the same kind of people Donald Trump does, which is a lot of violent, angry, stupid people who will believe anything stupid they hear, especially anything that tells them they can go be mean to a gay person. So he's now getting lots of death threats and stuff, and that's obviously what Elon Musk wanted. He's going to be a hero to the alt-right. This is the stuff they like, just like what Trump did. They like to form an angry mob and go attack gay and transsexual people or whatever they're transvestite. I can't remember the proper term these days. Anyway, transgender. Thank you. Anyway, so Caitlin told me it's now easy to fuzz software packages. It used to be very difficult. And fuzzing is where you send a lot of random data to something to make it crash and see if it has vulnerabilities. And this guy explained how he did it. He even used American Fuzzy Lop, which is a tool I have had trouble using before. But anyway, what he did was he took ping, and he found the ping, which has been around since 1983. It's over 40 years old, or about 40 years old. And he fuzzed it, and he found a vulnerability in it, which had been sitting there for all those years not found. So that's very interesting, and I'd like to add fuzzing to my classes. I've tried it before, but the fuzzers I could figure out how to use were not very effective. And so
Where is this program?
ping. It sends a packet to a server and tells you if it replies. You know ping. Good old ping. And so they made a mistake causing a buffer overflow of a byte or two, and he found it. So by fuzzing it. So it's interesting. There might be other things worth fuzzing too. And so if I can figure out how to get some of these fuzzers working, I'll add it to my classes. We'll see. What's that?
What other fuzzers are there?
Oh, there's a bunch of them. The most powerful one is called Peach Fuzzer, but it is very difficult to use. And there's something even easier to use than American Fuzzy Lop, which I used for a while, but it's so ineffective, it's not worth doing. Anyway, Caitlin says now they're getting easier to use and very effective. So I'm going to learn which one she uses.
Which one did you say is easy to use?
Which one did this guy use?
Which one Caitlin said easy to use?
I can't remember. She told me something when I was at the Saturday event, but I don't remember what she told me. But I'll find out again. Anyway, there are a variety of fuzzers, but they're hard to use. Apparently, they're getting better though. She's trying to push for people to fuzz things routinely at her company, and that might be good. Anyway, I'm going to stop this.
Every time the